Om Tat Sat. Namaste to all of you. This is my very first visit here. This place reflects the spirit of Sri Aurobindo, Divine Mother, and we are all reflections of that. On this day, I want to first pay my homage to Matru Darshan Trust, which is part of this setting here, and I'm really being blessed by being drawn to this place. And also I want to pay homage to Champak Lalji and Dr. Madhusudan Reddy ji, who were the inspirers of this particular setting. And all of us are indebted to their initiatives which brought us here today. Today also happens to be my birthday. And I happen to be here drawn by the forces here on this day, my birthday. So therefore I feel very, very specially privileged and blessed. Let me thank Dr. Mrs. Chalamaya Reddy ji for introducing us to the growth of this initiative, and to have taken very briefly the tour of the evolution of this place. It's indeed true that NEP 2020 drew its primary strength from Aurobindo's thoughts. This is not very well known, but this is indeed true. For the first time in the country, an education policy is on the horizon which really embodies the true spirit of what Aurobindo said and taught to us few decades ago. It took several decades for the country to wake up to this state. Better late than never. So one must wonder why NEP 2020 and why now and what is it, etc., etc. NEP 2020 is almost the first attempt to bring out an education policy that is truly mind developing, that is truly invigorating the minds. It's simply not a degree awarding process anymore. It's a process whereby we want to develop the nation by inspiring the minds using Indian value system and taking the Indian value system through the global value system. We'll discuss a little more on that. Then why now? Everything happens by its time. It's very clear that things are aligned now better than in the past, and it took several decades to reach us here. I see most of you are teachers, most of you are thought leaders in your own domains, and therefore it is very important for us to understand that NEP 2020 is an inflection point for the nation's educational growth. What has India achieved so far in 75 years? India started off as a fairly poor country when we got liberated in 1947. So we did build up resources, we did build up some manpower, we did build up some organizations, we did build up some methods to train people, and we did come out of morass. From food shortage country, we became food surplus country. From technology deficiency, we have become technology surplus now. From not many institutes country to many institutes country now. So in some sense we have set up the infrastructure. The bricks and mortars have been added to the system, and we have some framework of institutes, of societal structure, of constitution, of law and order, of basic fundamental ethos. Structures are there. But somehow the soul in that structure was not put in properly. And it is this NEP 2020 that will now try to do what has not been done in the past, where into this structure we need to breathe in much more dynamism, much more activity, and much more energy levels, so that as a nation we go forward more rapidly and in the right direction. NEP 2020, National Education Policy 2020, I consider as National Emancipation Policy 2020 in some sense. Because in this policy, what is visualized is that the minds should become free, liberated, emancipated towards acquiring knowledge, towards acquiring skills, and towards contributing these skills for nation building. What is nation? What is building? What are skills? Is nation a geographical entity? Is nation a collection of people who look like Indians? No, it is not that. Nation is a thought. India is a thought. India is an idea for the world. India is not just us. India is a real beautiful idea. Unless the idea of India survives, the globe will not survive. It's very clear. And how do we survive as an idea? We survive as an idea by nourishing ourselves from the past, sustain into the present, and move on into the future. India as an idea is a dynamic idea. It's not a static idea. It is not an idea 5,000 years old. No, it is always an evolving idea. But it sustains from the past. It moves on into the future. It always looks for Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. It always is looking for that. It has looked in the past, it's looking for it now, it will look into the future. So it's a dynamic idea. And in this dynamic idea, one important thought is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. There is no other idea in the world which can parallel this particular idea called Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole humanity is us. No other culture said it. No other culture also said Aham Brahmasmi. I think this is the highest thought a human mind can capture and move towards. So therefore some of these ideas are eternal ideas, very deep ideas, very fundamental ideas, and these ideas is India. And it is these ideas we must bring it back into the education policy. Obviously it is for India, and it is for anybody to accept in the world also. If we do it well, anybody in the world should be able to accept it. So the thought is very glorious, the foundation is very glorious, but ultimately the devil is in the details. It is only as good as it is implemented. If it's a beautiful idea not implemented, unimplementable, then it is not as beautiful as we think it is. So therefore, it is now for us to start aligning our minds towards implementing it. Implementation is always a very important task in our lives. It is so much more easier to say so, but it is so much more important to implement it. I would not say so much more difficult, but it is so much more important to implement it. How do we implement it? We implement it by not just imbibing the content of education, but by internalizing the content, reflecting the content, and making the content into knowledge. That's the first step. In the primary schools, in the secondary schools, in the high schools, in the pre-universities and universities and institutes, all the contents that we teach in the classrooms must become knowledge. Content should never say it multiple choice answers. No. Content should become knowledge. Don't stop there alone. Knowledge should become insights. Don't stop there. Insights should become wisdom. So content to knowledge, to insights, to wisdom. Unless we do this journey in steps, properly, taking the students along, taking the learners along, taking the teachers along, we will not do the education properly. What have we done so far? We have done content. We have focused excessively on the content. So much so that content has been learned by rote learning. Content has been memorized by students. So much so they memorize it so well that they can crack IIT entrance exams. They can even become toppers. We produce many graduates with profound degrees but no skills, no jobs. So we have done that very well in terms of content. We have not gone beyond that. This step has to happen. Content to knowledge has to happen. Once you get knowledge from content, your journey begins. How? Your journey begins on your own. Every student will become a teacher. Because once you start acquiring knowledge, you really do not need teachers. You can teach yourself. You know where you have to go and learn from. So that students will become teachers. And to give content which is knowledgeable, teachers have to become students. Because teachers have to constantly learn new things, constantly ask questions, constantly go and discuss. So the knowledge becomes dynamic. The students become teachers, the teachers become students, and the entire classroom gets flipped. We need to flip the class. Then the teachers will come with fantastic ideas because he or she has studied, has discussed, has thought about it, and now the students are ready. And students get not just the content but knowledge. And students say, teacher, that is not correct. I have learned something else somewhere else. Let us discuss. So the students can ask questions. So teacher and students combine and they flip the class, ulta. So the learning becomes a mission. Learning becomes a festival. Because in this learning process, nobody is learned. Please remember, nobody has reached there. The moment you reach there, your learning has stopped. You can go out of the highway. So learning is a constant process. Learning is a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing is something that is not reachable. Somebody said, Anduko jalani anandame neevu, enduko cheruvai dooram avutavu. That is the beautiful thought. The beauty is never capturable. Similarly, education, knowledge, insights are always there. It's a moving target. And you keep moving towards it. It is this process which is called education. And it is this process we must value, not a piece of paper called degree, an award, or a big achievement. No, these are all simple milestones that we have set up as structures. Don't get caught in these structures, keep moving. So we must awaken the spirit of acquiring knowledge, acquiring insights, and becoming wise. Becoming wise is the ultimate aim. In fact, becoming wise is spiritually awakening. Ultimate wisdom is spiritual awakening. So we are in that direction. That is what Aurobindo actually pointed out. Your inner awakening. And when you become wise, you realize, what am I here? Why am I here? Those questions come to you only when you become wise. And that is when your inner awakening begins. You ask questions as to why the universe is the way it is. Why is human behavior the way it is? Why do human beings look the way they look? All these questions come up out of wisdom. And out of wisdom comes spiritual awakening. So all these different steps of journey has to be initiated by a process called education. So finally, education is a process whereby you get certain things with you which is useful for your inner awakening. How do you teach all this to a young child? How do you make the young child realize that there is something beautiful about this world? That the child should pay much more attention to just the classroom learning and the content. How does one awaken the child towards higher goal? This, I think, is the most profound question that every teacher should ask. You can of course get the entire class pass, 99% success rate you can achieve, that's not difficult. But what is the way that you evolve whereby children become very, very different, they become highly motivated? How do you do that? Is there anything in the NEP 2020 towards that? If we can do that in NEP 2020 in the implementation, then we have succeeded. And we do that early on in the classroom. First thing is, do not emphasize too much on the content of a book, of a curriculum. Emphasize more on developing of mind. Each child is different. So you need to pay attention to each child to find out what that child is up to, where we can nurture that child. And in each classroom you have a distribution of talent. Some children are good in certain things, some children are good in certain other things. As a teacher, we should be able to identify the individual propensities. So it is a question of detailing each child. Look at what the child wants to do. If you can understand that, I think you can encourage that child in that direction. So that means you have to reach the mind of the child. How do you do in a large classroom? This is the challenge. This is the real challenge which I think we should do it. We should do it outside the classroom also. In fact, most of us learned many things outside the classroom. In the classroom, we learned whatever is required for the process, for the structure. But real learning happens outside the classroom. This is the best kept secret in educational institutions, that education happens outside the educational institutes. Why do I say so? Because I say so because In the classroom, you are following a structure. And education never happens in a structure. Education is, it's just a random walk. You have to think about it. So you have to get out of the classroom and think about yourself and question what the teacher has told you in that classroom and wonder, okay, teacher said so and so statements. Is that correct? Can it not happen some other way? Should we not be thinking of some other ways? This kind of attitude whereby you are trying to analyze what the teacher has said, that analysis has to begin, and that analysis can begin only outside the classroom. Because in the classroom you are paying attention to what the teacher is saying. Pay attention. But come out and then think about it. And then you become interested about certain things. Then you say, yes, this looks interesting, so I should go and study this book. I should go and ask the teacher. So that's how your journey begins. So interesting things people end up doing by developing ideas outside the box. We must emphasize high achievers in the society who were school dropouts, college dropouts. You know that. Many high achievers, Nobel laureates, thought leaders, they were not good students in the classroom. They were probably dropouts, they were struggling in the classroom, but they got out of the classroom and became. Bill Gates was a college dropout. Einstein was a poor student in the class. Einstein got bored of classes. Many other people, they really did not enjoy learning within four walls. They thought my learning should begin somewhere else. This model also we should propagate. And we don't propagate this model enough. In fact, we keep that model under the rug. If you look at most Nobel laureates, they were not good students. They struggled in their classes, but they went on to achieving big things and went on to, winning Nobel laureates, Nobel prizes, because they did something in the out-of-box mode, largely by their efforts, but inspired by one or two teachers. Good thought leaders also came out like that. There are many examples. But there are also students who stand out very well in the classrooms. And what do they become? They actually become very successful in the society. They become very rich. They earn fat salaries. They become very famous also. But they do not seem to contribute so much for the societal transitions, societal's growth. They become good for themselves in most of the situations. I'm not generalizing, but this is the general trend. Okay, so there are many things we should be doing differently in NEP 2020. I said emphasize on individual child's propensity, what the child wants to do, what the child is good at. Everybody need not become engineer, everybody need not become a doctor, everybody need not become a successful business entrepreneur. If the child wants to do that on his or her own, do it. But there may be artists, there may be musicians, there may be beautiful performers, there may be good teachers in the children. All these different activities we must recognize and promote. Right now we are running like a pipe water. All of us running towards high paying jobs. But if you look at the society, there are many areas where we don't have skilled people. We don't have skilled artisans. We don't have skilled carpenters. We don't have skilled electricians. We even don't have skilled engineers. We don't have good doctors in the society. Tremendous shortage of doctors. There is shortage of good teachers, shortage of good academic members, shortage of good entrepreneurs. So it is like country is very, very populous, but country doesn't have enough skills. We have plenty of jobs, but we have no takers. In University of Hyderabad, we conduct interviews for many, many selections. Several hundreds of people apply, we shortlist, we interview, but they don't know much. We don't select them. None found suitable. This has become so common. Why is that there is none found suitable in this populous country? Because we have not trained them well. We have given them degrees, just like that. And there are so many fake degrees. So we have jobs, but there are no takers. We have takers, but there are no proper jobs. So there is a tremendous mismatch, which is what the current educational system has generated. NEP 2020 is likely to correct it. Because NEP 2020 is likely to produce not just degrees, but skills. In the colleges, in the universities, now students have to spend time acquiring practical knowledge. They have to do internships. They have to go onto the ground and work. Along with learning within the classroom, they have to go out and acquire skills. We have to do a lot of online teaching, lot of online skill yielding programs we are doing now. So we have to generate a manpower who is job ready. That has not happened so far. We have generated manpower who are degrees ready, not job ready. So NEP 2020 should be doing it and will be doing it if all of us participate in it wholeheartedly. Now, when we do some of these things very well, we will of course not only help India, but also help the globe, the global systems. Because India is one country where there is tremendous emphasis given on education, training and knowledge. Emphasis is given, but it's not implemented so far properly. If we do this properly, I think we will generate such high-end manpower that we will be overflowing with surplus skill sets that rest of the world can benefit from. Because we are a young country. Young not because we are just 75 years old. Young because average demography age is very young. Our population is fairly young. Our average age is fairly young. And several decades from now, our average age will become higher and higher. Right now we are a young country, and therefore this young country in terms of average age must be giving out skills to the rest of the world. This is the time for us to give it to the rest of the world and make the world impactful by us. We have not done that as much. Few decades from now, we will become an older country, older by our age. Then we will have to re-strategize ourselves and become different. At this age, we should be surplus talent generating country. And we are a very large population country. And if we do it well, we should be able to help the global systems extremely well. Even in the current situation, we are helping quite well the global systems in terms of our software, our technology, and our educational skills. We are generating more talent in the country that we can absorb, and a lot of talent is going out of the country, which is okay. I think we are always a surplus country. Okay. Now I will make a couple of points which are very, very important for us to convey to our young students. And the points are the following. It is very important for us to generate deep interest towards this creation in our students. Unless they get interested in the system, in the creation, they will not do wonderful things. How do you create interest? We must train them to ask questions. We must train them to ask interesting questions. Only by asking interesting questions, interesting solutions will come out. Just to give an example, mankind asked this question about why the universe is the way it happened, why the universe was created. Such questions gave rise to the method of science. And in the method of science, mankind discovered very powerful tools called mathematics. Mathematics came about because human mind started thinking in a very systematic manner, in an analytical manner. And because of mathematics, human mind could understand that there was what was called Big Bang. The universe happened because of a Big Bang. And this is what is called astrophysics. By mathematical equations, mankind could solve the deep structures of atoms. And the deep structures of atoms were discovered in the form of particles called quarks, gluons, and such fundamental particles. This is very profound. How did they discover all this using mathematics? Mathematics by design is very abstract. So human mind can create very abstract things which can solve deep mysteries. And this is the power of human mind. If you read physics, you will read what is called Schrodinger's differential equation. Physics teachers will know it. And Schrodinger's differential equation is a mathematical equation that describes the structure of atom. And Schrodinger differential equation is an abstract concept, but very precisely describes the nature of the universe called atom. So I am telling you here that if your methods are powerful, you will discover powerful things. This power we must ignite in students' minds. These are very powerful. And this is done by the method of science. Theory of gravitation is a mathematical concept. And who discovered this? Newton. How did he discover it? He saw the apple fall. Apples fell before Newton also. Apples fall even today. But it took one curious mind called Newton to understand why is the apple falling? Why is it not going up? And from there came Newton's laws of gravity, which is a mathematical concept. Why did he use a mathematical concept? He used mathematical concept because that is accurate. That describes the laws of motion very accurately. And who created the mathematical concept? Human mind created it. So human mind can actually create abstract laws, abstract mathematical principles which can describe many things very powerfully, which ultimately human mind cannot understand actually. So that is the power of human mind if you can apply it properly. Similarly, look at all the human beings, right? Each of you look so different, right? No human being is similar to the other human being unless you are identical twins. So you all look so beautifully different. But when we look at your genomes, your genomes are 99.99% identical. That means with very, very small differences in the genome, such large differences have come about. So much so that there is nobody like you in this world so far, and nobody like you will be born in future. Each person is a unique product, very different from the others, but at the genome level there is no difference. Very, very similar. How does this happen? All of us have the same physics. Physics and chemistry in all of us is identical. There is nothing very different from in me than in you. So using the same laws of physics and chemistry, biology has generated such level of diversity, very high level of diversity, but your genomes are identical. That is so beautiful, right? So this is the beauty of biology. And if we are able to create the interest in the student to figure out why is this difference coming about, then the student will realize there's something very interesting about it, I should go and learn. Generate that interest, deep interest. You can generate interest only by giving fantastic examples, giving very good models, not out of fear. Out of fear you cannot generate any interest in anybody. So the teacher therefore has to be inspiring deep interest in the students' minds. The student should love you, should not be afraid of you. The student will love you if you are telling the student interesting things, asking beautiful things. You can say, why is this flower so symmetric? Look at those flowers. They are so symmetric. They are so beautiful. Why is the color there? Why so many different colors? In some flower there are so many different colors. So if you ask interesting questions, I think students will start becoming curious about everything around them. And they will start learning. They will go and read. They will read and come and tell you, teacher, I learned something new today. I want to share with you. So this is how you actually ignite interest in the students. They become teachers. They'll start learning on their own and become very deeply interested in certain things. This particular journey will begin in NEP 2020 if we do it well. And NEP 2020 in some sense liberates education from the box, because students who are learning in the NEP 2020 can acquire credits from multiple institutes. There is what is called credit mobility. The student can take about 60% of credits from University of Hyderabad if he joins in University of Hyderabad, and remaining 40% he or she can get from any other institutes also. So there is choice-based credit acquiring. A student who is doing biology can also learn mathematics if he or she is interested, can also learn music, can also learn engineering. So multiple options are available. So therefore the student is freed from the box. And what will the students do with all these credits? The students can accumulate credits in what is called credit bank. Just like you have your money bank, you can put the credits in a bank. And once you acquire certain number of credits, you can get a certificate degree, 1-year certificate, or 2-year diploma, or 3-year undergraduate degree, or 4 years undergraduate honors degree, and then you can, if you are interested, you can do PhD. So there is enough flexibility in terms of learning. You can decide to learn what you want to learn. You can pick and choose your courses. entire university becomes a menu. You can pick and choose your items. And if you feel that no, I have acquired enough credits, but I want to go and work in that school, I want to go work in that bank, you can take an exit. Your credits will stay in your bank. You can take an exit, work somewhere, come back and rejoin the system and fulfill the degrees, fulfill the credit requirements and get your degrees. That means you have the option of exiting from educational institute, go to some working place, acquire working knowledge, practical knowledge, come back and finish your degree. This you cannot do now. In the current system, if you exit, you lose your admission. You lose all your credits that you have earned so far. So therefore, now the student has the flexibility of pick and choose whatever courses one wants. The menu is free. The student can exit and come back. So this is multiple exit, multiple entry. You can exit. There is certain duration by which time you should come back. You can enter back and you can finish your degree program. And this you can do from anywhere in the country. You can actually earn your courses, your credits by online program, online degrees also, online teaching also. Because of COVID experience, we have become very good in teaching online, and therefore students can pick and choose courses from anywhere in other universities. You are only dictated by your interests. If you are interested, that particular university is offering that course, go sign up, get the credits from there and put it in your bank. So this way, the system offers tremendous flexibility of acquiring not only the content but also the skills. And once you fulfill certain credit requirements, then you actually become eligible for a degree. Wherever you have acquired credits more than 50%, that particular institute will give you the degree. Right? So you see that this is fairly organized, and if we do it well, we will generate students who are knowledgeable, who have skills, who also have practical knowledge on the ground, and therefore will end up contributing very productively to the system. So there are interesting details in NEP 2020. Documents are very well written. You can go and read up. I'm sure you have read up. There are longer versions as well as the shorter versions. You please go and read up those. If there are questions, if there are any issues that you may come up with, please discuss with us. We are very accessible people. You can write to us by email, etc., etc. We can even come here and organize sessions if there are any queries. It is important for us to understand this document well, this process very well, and implement it very, very well. And this we do for the country. If we don't do this for the country, we would have missed the bus. In fact, this is a critical moment for the country. If we miss this particular bus, I think the world will move over us. In terms of this particular stage, we are a young country. We have done certain things well, but we have not done many things very well. We have a country where development is happening without sustaining the environment as of now. Our development is not sustainable. Prime Minister Modi ji has committed to the world that by some years in the future, we will become carbon neutral. This commitment is very important. We have given to the rest of the world this particular commitment, we should meet it. And to become carbon neutral, we must be sensitive to our needs. We must be careful about how we are operating our lives. and each of us has to pay attention to our lifestyle. Country also has to develop faster. Country has to develop technologies which are carbon saving. Such technology is available elsewhere in the world, but it's expensive to buy. As a country, we must be developing our own technology which is carbon saving. And we can do it. We have done it, we are doing it, we can still do it. That's number one. Number two, water conservation is very, very important. The water mapping of the country suggests that our water levels are depleting very, very rapidly, especially in the urban areas. This is another area where we need to develop water sustaining methodologies, technologies. And here also, government is actually putting in a lot of efforts. And as citizens, whatever we can contribute towards those efforts, we must do it. Number three, we must become self-reliant. It's very clear that in this global geopolitical situations, countries protect their interests very deeply. You see it today as it is happening in Ukraine. Every country will try to protect its interests, obviously. And if we want to protect our interests at some point in the future, which it is likely to happen, we must be self-reliant. Unless we are self-reliant, there is no meaning of protecting our interests. And to be self-reliant, we must be making our products in the country. We have all the resources to make our products in the country. We have to develop some more technology. Our resources are there, people are there. We need to generate more high-skilled people. So all these will happen in NEP 2020 so that we become self-reliant, we make our country production rich, at the same time sustain our environment. It's a very important balancing act. As governmental agencies, as NGOs, as people, as citizenships, we do it well. I think we can align and make it happen. Number two, that is. Number three, as a country, we must defend ourselves extremely well. Because the rest of the world can become quite hostile sometimes. Situations will arise, unexpectedly so. Nobody expected there is a war going on for the last 15 days in the world, a deep war. Nobody expected this. Soon after COVID this happens, nobody expected this. Many, many unexpected things are possible in this world, in this complicated world. And at the end of the day, when unexpected things happen, we must defend our country. To defend your country, you need to have enough of your defense capabilities inbuilt in the country. We have not done that well at all so far. We are doing it now well. So therefore, as a country, we must be thinking about many, many layers of existence. We must be thinking of spirituality. We must be thinking of education for our children. We must be thinking of how to make our children good thinkers. We must also be thinking of sustainable development in this country. We must also be thinking of how to become self-reliant as we speak now. And we must also be thinking of defending our country. So you see that these are different layers of reality. No reality works at the expense of the other. All these are important. We are Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, of course. But at the same time, make sure that we exist as a country. we will never lose track of country as a system in the journey of spirituality. Spirituality is important for us, but country as a unit also is important for us. Both philosophies can coexist. So therefore, my last point is, to exist as good Indians, we must be constantly alert. Stay alert. Stay alert as child. Stay alert as growing adolescent. Stay alert as an adult. Stay alert as a middle-aged person. Stay alert as an old person. Stay alert as a very old person. Doesn't matter. All of us have to stay alert. This is very important. And on this particular occasion, let us realize that our responsibilities and our commitments to this world go far beyond our expectations. We are very deeply committed to this society, to the human society as a whole, and we pay attention to this every minute we exist here. This is very, very important. Unless we do this, as a nation, we cannot move together very successfully. Somehow in the past, we have drifted. That drifting has to stop, and we move coherently into the future as a bright nation, as a bright spark for this earth, Mother Earth. Thank you very much. Namaste. Thank you very much. धन्यवाद. मैं यहाँ आप सबके बीच बहुत ही अपनापन महसूस कर रहा हूँ. पता नहीं जिंदगी में किस मोड़ पे किन से मिलना पड़ता है और अपने हो जाते हैं. जिंदगी का मकसद यही तो है. On another note, I feel I am a part of continuum. I am born on so and so day, but I am part of a continuum. Since it's a continuum, 13th March is just a punctuation. It's just a punctuation, not a full stop. It continues. The whole existence is a continuum. Birth and death happen to be notional punctuations. We continue with what we come with. We evolve, and finally we reach the destination. Everybody has to reach the destination sooner or later. Since it's a continuum, it's a celebration for all of you. Thank you.
Sir, main ఉద్దేశం ఏంటి ఈ సెమినార్ ద్వారా ఏం మెసేజ్ ఇస్తారు?
ఈ సెమినార్లో మనం రెండు విషయాలు చెప్పదలుచుకున్నాం. ఒకటి, ఈ ప్రాంతం, ఈ స్కూల్లో అరబిందో చెప్పినటువంటి మాటలను NEP 2020 ద్వారా ఎలా సాధించడం. NEP 2020 దానికి మూలాధారం అరబిందో గారి భావనలు, అరబిందో గారి ఉద్దేశాలు. దాన్ని మనం NEP 2020 ద్వారా ఎలా సాధించగలుగుతాము, అది ప్రధానమైన అంశం ఇవాళ మనం డిస్కస్ చేసింది. అరబిందో గారు ఏమన్నారంటే, మన దేశానికి విద్యా విధానం భారతీయతతో సంబంధించిన విద్యా విధానం ఉండాలి. ఆ విద్యా విధానంతోనే మనము మంచి విద్యనే కాదు, మంచి వాల్యూ సిస్టమ్స్ కూడా ఇవ్వగలుగుతాం. తర్వాత దానితో మనిషికి కావలసిన ఆధ్యాత్మిక శక్తి కూడా వస్తుంది. దాంతో మన దేశానికే మంచి కాకుండా పూర్తి విశ్వానికి కూడా మంచి జరుగుతుందని అతని ఫిలాసఫీలో చెప్పబడి ఉందన్నమాట. ఆ ఫిలాసఫీ మీద ఆధారపడి NEP 2020 మనము తయారు చేసాం. ఆ NEP 2020ని మనం జాగ్రత్తగా ఖచ్చితంగా ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేయాలి. దానికి ఏంటి పద్ధతి, దానికి కావాల్సిన వాల్యూ సిస్టమ్ ఏంటి, దాన్ని మనము ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేయడానికి ఎలాంటి స్టూడెంట్స్ను తయారు చేయాలా, ఎలా తయారు చేయాలా, ఎలాంటి టీచర్స్ కావాలా, ఎలాంటి విధానాన్ని మనం అనుకరించాలా, అవన్నీ కూడా NEP 2020లో చెప్పబడి ఉన్నాయన్నమాట. ఆ డాక్యుమెంట్ని చదవాలి, అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి, తర్వాత దాన్ని సరిగ్గా ఇంప్లిమెంట్ అయ్యేలా మనమంతా దోహదం చేయాలా. దాట్ ఈస్ ద మెయిన్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఎసెన్స్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ మీటింగ్. ఈ స్కూల్ చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ స్కూల్ అండి. న్యూ క్రియేషన్ అంటే కొత్త క్రియేషన్, ఒక రకంగా కొత్త ఐడియాస్, మన వాల్యూ సిస్టమ్ మీద ఆధారపడి ఉన్న కొత్త క్రియేషన్ ఇది ఒక ఫ్రీ ప్రోగ్రెస్ స్కూల్ చంపక్ హిల్లో ఉంది. మీరంతా చాలా బ్లెస్డ్ బికాజ్ ఆఫ్ ది స్కూల్. ఈ ప్రాంతానికి మహానుభావులంతా కృషి చేసి దీన్ని స్థాపించారు. చంపక్ లాల్ గారు, మధుసూదన్ రెడ్డి గారు. ఈ ప్రాంతానికి చాలా విలువైన నిధి. ఇలాంటి ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్లో మనం ఇలా డిస్కస్ చేయడం చాలా చాలా మంచి విషయం. సో ఇక్కడ మాతృదర్శన్ ట్రస్ట్ కూడా ఉంది. 1982లో స్థాపించబడింది. మాతృదర్శన్ అరబిందో గారు, తర్వాత మా శ్రీమా ఆవిడ సంబంధించిన ట్రస్ట్ అన్నమాట. 1982లో స్థాపించబడింది. ఈ సంస్థలు చాలా దీర్ఘకాలిక వ్యూహంతో స్థాపించబడిన సంస్థలు. వీటి పనులు చాలా గంభీరంగా ఉంటాయి, చాలా ఉపయోగకరంగా ఉంటాయి మన సొసైటీకి. మన సొసైటీకి ముందు పడాలంటే ఇలాంటి థాట్ ప్రాసెసెస్ చాలా అవసరం. అది ఇంకా చాలామందికి మన పబ్లిక్లో ఇంకా చాలా ప్రాకలేదు. వీటిని మనం తీసుకెళ్ళాలి బాగా. సో ఇలాంటి ప్రయత్నాల్లో మనము ముందుకు వెళ్తామని ఆశిస్తూ ఈ NEP 2020 ద్వారా ఈ కార్యక్రమాన్ని ముందుకు తీసుకెళ్దామని మనం ప్రయత్నం చేస్తున్నాం అన్నమాట. ఇలాంటి కార్యక్రమాలు చాలా చోట్ల జరగాలి. పెద్ద పెద్ద పట్టణాలతో పాటు చిన్న చిన్న పట్టణాల్లో కూడా జరగాలి, గ్రామాల్లో కూడా జరగాలి. ఇది ఒక ఉద్యమంగా మారాలి. అప్పుడే NEP 2020 నేషనల్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ పాలసీ 2020 మంచిగా ఇంప్లిమెంట్ అవుతుందనే భావన నేను వ్యక్తపరుస్తున్నాను. నేషనల్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ పాలసీలో రెండు చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ విషయాలు ఉన్నాయండి. ఒకటి, ఇది స్టూడెంట్ సెంట్రిక్ అన్నమాట. అంటే స్టూడెంట్కు ఉపయోగపడే విధానం. ఎలా, ఒక స్టూడెంట్ నాకు ఇలాంటి కోర్సెస్ కావాలి, బయాలజీతో పాటు నేను మ్యాథమెటిక్స్ కూడా చదువుతాను, మ్యాథమెటిక్స్తో పాటు నేను మ్యూజిక్ కూడా నేర్చుకుంటాను, దాంతోపాటు నేను కార్పెంటరీ కూడా నేర్చుకుంటాను, అలాంటి ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఉంటే ఇప్పుడు NEP 2020లో అవన్నీ నేర్చుకోవచ్చు. ఇప్పుడున్న విధానంలో ఇవన్నీ నేర్చుకోవడానికి ఆ పాసిబిలిటీ లేదు. ఎందుకంటే ఇప్పుడున్న ఎడ్యుకేషన్ సిస్టంలో అన్ని కంపార్ట్మెంట్స్. నేను BPC చేస్తే బయాలజీ, ఫిజిక్స్, కెమిస్ట్రీ మాత్రమే నేర్చుకుంటాను. నేను వేరే సబ్జెక్ట్ నేర్చుకోవడానికి అవకాశమే లేదు. NEP 2020లో వేరే సబ్జెక్ట్స్ కూడా నేర్చుకోవచ్చు. మీకు ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఉంటే ఏ సబ్జెక్ట్ అయినా నేర్చుకోవచ్చు. అది ఎక్కడి నుంచైనా నేర్చుకోవచ్చు ఆన్లైన్లో. 60% క్రెడిట్స్ మీరు ఒక ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్లో తీసుకోవచ్చు ఆఫ్లైన్ ద్వారా. 40% క్రెడిట్స్ మీరు ఆన్లైన్ ద్వారా ఎక్కడైనా తీసుకోవచ్చు దేశంలో. దేర్ ఈజ్ నో రియల్ ఏజ్ లిమిట్. డీటెయిల్స్ డాక్యుమెంట్లో ఉన్నాయి, మీరు చదవండి. సో 40% క్రెడిట్స్ మీరు ఏ ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్లోనైనా చేసుకోవచ్చు ఇండియాలో ఆన్లైన్తో. దీంట్లో మీకు 1 ఇయర్కు తగ్గట్టు క్రెడిట్స్ లభిస్తే మీకు ఒక సర్టిఫికేట్ వస్తుంది. 2 సంవత్సరాలకు అనుగుణంగా మీకు క్రెడిట్స్ వస్తే డిప్లొమా డిగ్రీ వస్తుంది. 3 సంవత్సరాలకు అనుగుణంగా మీకు క్రెడిట్స్ వస్తే అండర్ గ్రాడ్యుయేట్ డిగ్రీ వస్తుంది. ఇది మీరు ఈ క్రెడిట్స్ ఎక్కడి నుంచైనా సంపాదించుకోవచ్చు, ఆన్లైన్ ద్వారా 60% ఆఫ్లైన్ ద్వారా. ఈ క్రెడిట్స్ మీరు ఒక క్రెడిట్ బ్యాంక్లో పెట్టుకోవచ్చు. డబ్బు బ్యాంక్లో పెట్టుకున్నట్టు క్రెడిట్స్ కూడా మీరు ఒక బ్యాంక్లో క్రెడిట్ అకౌంట్ ఒకటి ఉంటుంది, అది డిజిటల్గా ఉంటుంది, అది మీ అకౌంట్లో ఉంటుంది. అది మీరు అన్ని క్రెడిట్స్ ఒకేసారి చేసుకోవాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు. మీరు కొన్ని క్రెడిట్స్ చేశారు, తర్వాత మీరు సిస్టమ్ నుండి బయటకు వచ్చి ఏదో పనులు చేసుకుంటున్నారు, ఆ పనులు అయిన తర్వాత మళ్ళీ సిస్టంలో జాయిన్ అయ్యి మళ్ళీ ఆ క్రెడిట్స్ పూర్తి చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఆ ఫ్లెక్సిబిలిటీ ఉంది మీకు. అంటే ఎడ్యుకేషన్ నుండి మీరు బయటకు వెళ్ళి జాబ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు, లేదా ఏదో ప్రాక్టికల్గా ఏదో ట్రైనింగ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఫ్యామిలీలో ఏమైనా ట్రాజెడీ దొరికితే మీరు ఇక్కడ నుంచి కొద్దిగా టైం తీసుకొని ఆఫ్ చేసుకొని వెళ్ళిపోవచ్చు, మళ్ళీ వచ్చి మళ్ళీ క్రెడిట్స్ పూర్తి చేసుకొని డిగ్రీ సంపాదించుకోవచ్చు. ఇప్పుడున్న పద్ధతిలో అలా కాదు. ఒకసారి మీరు ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్ క్విట్ అవుతే మీ అడ్మిషనే పోతుంది. ఇప్పుడు అలా కాకుండా NEP 2020లో ఆ ఫ్లెక్సిబిలిటీ ఉంది. మీరు ఎడ్యుకేషన్ నుండి బయటకు వచ్చి పనులు చేసుకోవచ్చు, మళ్ళీ ఎడ్యుకేషన్లో జాయిన్ అయ్యి మళ్ళీ క్రెడిట్స్ సంపాదించుకొని మీ డిగ్రీ సంపాదించుకోవచ్చు. సో రెండు విధాలుగా చాలా ఉపయోగపడుతుంది. మీ ఇష్టమైన సబ్జెక్ట్స్ సంపాదించుకోవచ్చు క్రెడిట్స్ ద్వారా. తర్వాత చదువుతూ ప్రాక్టికల్ ట్రైనింగ్ కూడా చేసుకోవాలి. ఇప్పుడు ప్రాక్టికల్ ట్రైనింగ్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ అనమాట. మీరు BSc చేస్తున్నారనుకోండి, ఎక్కడైనా ప్రాక్టికల్ ట్రైనింగ్ కూడా అక్కడి నుంచి కూడా క్రెడిట్ తీసుకురావచ్చు. అంటే కేవలం పుస్తకాలు చదవడంలోనే డిగ్రీ రాదు. ఇప్పుడు వెళ్ళి ప్రాక్టికల్ ట్రైనింగ్ కూడా చేసుకోవాలి, అది ఇంపార్టెంట్. దాంతో ఏమవుతుంది, దాంతో మీకు స్కిల్స్ వస్తాయి, నైపుణ్యం వస్తుంది. నైపుణ్యంతో ఏమొస్తుంది, మీకు కాన్ఫిడెన్స్ వస్తుంది. నేను గ్రౌండ్లో పని చేయగలుగుతాను, నాకు జాబ్ వస్తే నేను తప్పకుండా పనిచేసి బాగా వృద్ధిలో వస్తాను, అదే కాన్ఫిడెన్స్ ఉంటుంది. ఇప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది, నాకు డిగ్రీ ఉంది కానీ నేను బయటికి వెళ్ళి పని చేసే కాన్ఫిడెన్స్ లేదు నా స్టూడెంట్స్లో. దాంతో ఏమవుతుంది, ఒక పేపర్ డిగ్రీలో అయిపోతుంది. మన స్టూడెంట్స్లో స్కిల్స్ లేవు. స్కిల్స్ తీసుకురావాలి. ఇప్పుడు డిగ్రీతో పాటు స్కిల్స్ కూడా తీసుకురావాలా, నైపుణ్యం కూడా తీసుకురావాలా. నైపుణ్యం ఉంటేనే ఈ డిగ్రీకి వాల్యూ ఉంది. అది చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ NEP 2020లో. అదొక ఫ్లెక్సిబిలిటీ. సో ఇలా ఇవన్నీ స్టూడెంట్కు దోహదపడే మార్పులు, అన్నీ NEP 2020లో తీసుకొచ్చారు. ఇది 22-23 నెక్స్ట్ అకాడమిక్ సెషన్ నుండి అందరూ ఫాలో చేయాల్సిందే. మీరు ఫాలో చేయకపోతే మీకు గవర్నమెంట్ సపోర్ట్ ఉండదు. ఒక రకంగా అదే కంట్రీ అందరూ ఫాలో చేయాల్సిందే. 22-20 ఇప్పుడు వచ్చే సెషన్ నుండి. ఈ సెషన్లో మేము అన్ని మార్పులు చేసుకుంటున్నాం మా ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్లో, మా యూనివర్సిటీలో. ఈ మార్పులు చేసుకొని తయారు ఉండాలి మనం 22-23 వచ్చే వరకు. అంటే ఇప్పుడు వచ్చే జూలైలో అడ్మిషన్స్ వస్తాయి, తర్వాత ఆగస్టులో స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది మనది. అప్పుడు న్యూ NEP 2020 బిగిన్ అయినట్టు. ఇలా స్టూడెంట్స్కు దోహదపడే ఫ్లెక్సిబుల్ సిస్టమ్ NEP 2020లో ఉంటుంది. ఇంకొక ముఖ్య విషయం, NEP 2020 ఏముంటుందంటే అన్ని స్పోర్ట్స్ కూడా ఒక సబ్జెక్టే. ఇప్పుడు మ్యూజిక్ ఒక సబ్జెక్ట్, ఇంతకుముందు లేదు. స్పోర్ట్స్ చదివే వాడికి క్రెడిట్స్ రావు. ఇప్పుడు NEP 2020లో వస్తాయి. వాడు బాటనీ చదువుకుండా నాకు ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఉంటే వచ్చలేదు, స్పోర్ట్స్ చేయండి, మీకు క్రెడిట్ ఇస్తాం, అది మీకు డిగ్రీలో దోహదపడుతుంది. అలాంటి మార్పులు అన్నమాట, రైట్. సో ఇంకొకటి ముఖ్య విషయం, ప్రాంతీయ భాషలకు చాలా ఇంపార్టెన్స్ ఉంది ఇప్పుడు NEP 2020లో. మీరు స్కూలింగ్లో ప్రాంతీయ భాషల్లో చదివితే బాగా అర్థమవుతుంది, మీకు కాన్సెప్ట్స్ బాగా అర్థమవుతాయి. అటు తర్వాత ఇంగ్లీష్ మీద ఎలాగో చదవాల్సిందే గ్లోబల్లీ కాంపిటేటివ్ కావడానికి. కానీ మీ బిగినింగ్ ప్రైమరీ స్కూల్ లెవెల్లో ప్రాంతీయ భాషల్లో చదువుకుంటే బాగుంటుందని ఒక సజెషన్ దాంట్లో. తర్వాత మీరు ఇంగ్లీష్ నేర్చుకుని కాలేజ్ లెవెల్లో ఇంగ్లీష్లో బిగిన్ అవుతే మీరు ఒక రకంగా గ్లోబల్లీ కాంపిటేటివ్ తయారవుతారు. కానీ ఇనీషియల్ లెర్నింగ్, మొదటి లెర్నింగ్ ప్రాంతీయ భాషల్లో జరిగితే చాలా దోహదపడుతుంది. మేమంతా నేను 12th స్టాండర్డ్ వరకు తెలుగు మీడియం నేర్చుకున్నాను నేను. అటు తర్వాత ఇంగ్లీష్ నేర్చుకున్నాను నేను. తర్వాత ఐ కెన్ స్పీక్ ఎనీ ఇంగ్లీష్ విత్ ఎనీబడి ఇన్ ద వరల్డ్. నేర్చుకోవాలి మనం. కానీ నేను తెలుగులో కూడా బాగా నేర్చుకుంటాను, తెలుగులో కవిత్వం రాస్తాను. నా ఎడ్యుకేషన్ అంతా తెలుగులో జరిగింది, నేను బాగా అర్థం చేసుకున్నాను సైన్స్ ఎలా ఉంటుంది. సో ఆ కాన్సెప్ట్ చాలా స్ట్రాంగ్గా ఉన్నాయి నాలో. సో పుట్టి పెరిగిన భాషలో నేర్చుకుంటే మీ ఫౌండేషన్ చాలా స్ట్రాంగ్గా ఉంటుంది. అది చాలా రకంగా తేలిన సత్యం. చిన్నప్పుడే నేను ఇంగ్లీష్ నేర్చుకుంటే అది నాకు అర్థం కాదు. సరే ఏంటంటే భాష అనేది ఒక రకంగా భాషను నేర్చుకోవాలంటే మీరు అక్కడ పుట్టి పెరగాలి. భాషను అర్థం చేసుకోవాలంటే అక్కడ పుట్టి పెరగాలి మీరు. అప్పుడే మీకు ఆ భాషలో ఉన్నటువంటి పవర్ ఏంటో తెలుస్తుంది. భాష అంటే ఒక రకంగా జస్ట్ యాజ్ ఎ మీడియం కాదు, భాషలో పవర్ ఉంటుంది. ఆ పవర్ తెలుసుకోవాలంటే మీరు అక్కడ పుట్టి పెరిగి ఉంటేనే తెలుస్తుంది మీకు అది. నేను ఇక్కడ పుట్టాను కానీ తెలుగులో చదివాను, నాకు అర్థమవుతుంది తెలుగులో బాగా. ఎంత క్లిష్టమైన సమస్యలైనా నేను బాగా అర్థం చేసుకున్నాను తెలుగులో. మైండ్కు తర్వాత లోకల్ లాంగ్వేజ్కు మంచి కనెక్షన్ ఉంటుంది. మనం ఎప్పుడు మాతృభాషలో ఆలోచించుకుంటాం, దాన్ని ట్రాన్స్లేట్ చేసి ఇంగ్లీష్లో మాట్లాడతాం. ఒరిజినల్ థింకింగ్ హ్యాపెన్స్ ఇన్ మదర్ టంగ్. ఫండమెంటల్ ఇమోషన్స్ అంటారు కదా, అవన్నీ మీకు మాతృభాషలో జరుగుతాయి. బాగా తిట్టాలనుకుంటే తెలుగులో తిట్టగలుగుతాం మీరు. ఇట్ ఇస్ జస్ట్ ఎన్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్. సో హ్యాపీనెస్, సాడ్నెస్ను బాగా ఎక్స్ప్రెస్ చేసుకోవాలంటే మీ మాతృభాషలోనే మీరు ఎక్కువగా ఎక్స్ప్రెస్ చేయగలుగుతారు. తెలుగులో కొద్దిగా టచ్ పోయినందుకు నాకు అది కొద్దిగా ఇబ్బంది అవుతుంది అప్పుడప్పుడు, కానీ మాట్లాడగలుగుతాను. కానీ నా ఒరిజినల్ అండర్స్టాండింగ్ అంతా తెలుగులోనే జరిగింది. ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ అండి, నమస్తే.